Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about the First Berserker Khazan. This one actually took me a long time to finally beat. 77 hours is when I finally clocked in at finishing it, and I have to say it was a great game. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It took a while for me to enjoy it more. I feel like the beginning of the game is a little bit rough, but overall I had a fantastic time. I know this one came out a few months ago, and like I said, I have been taking a long time to try to beat these games. I got like a stack of like 6 games that I still need to beat and finish that are all like half play. The reason this one took me so long is that this is a tough game. This is very challenging, I don't want to say Elden Ring or Dark Souls because I feel like it's much more fast-paced than a lot of those games are, but the difficulty is definitely there. A lot of these bosses are very difficult, especially that last boss, Ozma, the Emperor dude, was very hard. It took me a solid 2 days of beating him or fighting him off and on to try to learn his moveset and all that stuff. So that's partially why it took me so long to beat this game, but I know it's been out for a while, so I kind of just want to talk about some of the things that I really liked about the game and some of the things that maybe I don't like as much. I thought the story was decent overall. Essentially, you play as Khazan. He's the first Berserker. He's initially exiled from the empire that he's supposed to protect. He's set up and assumed to be dead. A lot of the Emperor and a lot of their followers are corrupted by chaos, and you are making your way back to try to take revenge from all of those that did you wrong and did your friends and family wrong. So it's a story of revenge, and I like that. It's really cool. I think the voice acting is very well done. They had Ben Starr play as Khazan. Dude has been killing it. Almost every game that I played that he's in, he just absolutely nails it. Another thing that I really like in this one is the gameplay. This gameplay is very fun. You have a few different weapon choices. You got the dual blades, the great axe, and then you have, or not great axe, great sword, and you have a spear, and all of them play vastly different. For example, you have the dual wield. I feel like this is very fast. It does some decent damage, and then you have the great sword, which is very slow and does a lot of damage. And then my favorite was actually between the dual blades and the spear. The spear is very fast and does a lot of damage, especially when you can get, those enemies stun locked and you're just dealing tons of damage. I experimented actually with all of the different play styles for a little bit, and I actually found the great sword to be my least favorite by like a long shot. I feel like the game is just way too fast paced and quick for something as slow as like the great sword. I feel like the dual blades were really fun and very quick, especially the spear. Spear is very fast and does both of them do decent damage, but I just felt like the greatsword was just way too slow. Also, I like that you were able to freely respec as many times as you want. Like, you can go and if you don't like your build, you can redo your build as many times as you want. You can take all of your skill tree points away and you can invest them into something else, and so it encourages a lot of trial and error on my part. Like, I find something that I like, or maybe I upgraded some things that I'm like, I don't actually really use this skill as much. And so you can freely switch and swap all of the skills, and I thought that was really cool. It's very user-friendly. I think the gameplay is really fun. I like all of the different move sets with each one of these different builds that you can have. A lot of fun. I think that the gameplay itself is just really fun and fast-paced, and I had a good time for the most part playing it. A lot of the levels and stuff that you go through, ironically, are actually really easy. I feel like most of the levels, like when you're just going through and you're exploring and you're taking out the enemies and finding all the treasures and the crystals and the jar dudes, like all that stuff was super easy. Most of the enemies were really easy. Every now and then you'd get like an elite enemy that was a little bit more challenging, but for the most part, like if you are leveling up your skills and finding new abilities, like you're able to just breeze through a lot of these elite enemies. Like even like towards the end of the game, I'd find like huge big old like stone dragon dudes that I was just able to continuously stun lock, or I would get the perfect parry counter with and whatnot, and I was just able to just delete their health bar. I also really enjoyed the boss fights up to a point. So the boss fights, like I said at the beginning, this is a tough game, and I feel like most of the bosses are fairly challenging. I think I was stuck on quite a lot of them for a long time. Now, my issue with the bosses is it kind of goes in along with some of the things that I don't like, so maybe we'll kind of combine this section here. But the first part of the game is very like heavy loaded at the beginning, so I feel like some of the bosses that you faced early on were a lot more challenging than some of the bosses I faced later in the game. It was almost like hard at the beginning, hard at the end. A lot of the bosses in the middle, and maybe it's just because I'm leveled up and you know you got your skills and your weapons and whatnot, but I just feel like it was very front loaded, where the Viper boss fight was incredibly hard. I feel like I struggled with that one of the most. And then I'm drawing a blank on his name, but it's like the bull dude that hits the hammer nail at you. That one also took me a long time. But then you have bosses like the dragon, or a few of the other ones throughout the middle that I just kind of like breezed through. Like they weren't super easy. Like I still died quite a bit to them, but I wasn't stuck on them for like a long, like the Viper boss fight I was stuck on for like a day. The other one I was also stuck on for like a day. So like the bosses fights are fun, don't get me wrong. There are a couple of them that are really fun. I think the last boss fight, Ozma, which is very difficult, I actually really like that boss fight. I thought it was a lot of fun. Super difficult, but it was manageable. Like I noticed that when I died, it was because I was making mistakes. Very Souls-like. That's why I say it's like Souls-like, but I feel like it's just a lot more fast-paced. There's parries and dodges, and there's unblockable attacks, and there's attacks that you can do the perfect parry with, and all this different things like that. And that last boss, like there was a lot of times where I'm like, okay, yeah, I made a mistake. I parried way too early and I took some damage, or I should have blocked that one instead of trying to parry, you know, stuff like that. But overall, guys, the boss fights were incredibly fun. Like most of them, other than a couple of them, were absolutely fun. I loved all of the dragon boss fights. Some of these ones just had some crazy cool abilities. But yeah, boss fights overall I think were really good. Now, kind of going along with the boss fights, and this is kind of where we're starting to get into some of the things that I didn't quite like. So I think that the boss fights, and this includes all of the boss fights, even Ozma, as much as fun as I did have with that, I think one of the things that really hampered my experience is that no matter how well I was playing, I think the bosses all have way too much health. Like they are just bullet sponges. I know it's not a shooting game, but man, there's so many times where like Viper, dude, you're just smacking away on this dude, and it's just barely chipping down, and you're like, why can't I do more damage? And at that point in the game, like there's nothing you could do to get more damage because you're still early on in the game. You can't respec your gear, you can't craft gear yet. Like a lot of the stuff that you need, you aren't available yet because it's like one of the first bosses. And so I struggled with that one a lot, and it just, man, the health bar on some of these bosses were just so ridiculously high. Like there was one where I'm on like a good streak, then I'm just chipping away, and I look up and I'm like, I've barely done any damage. Like what is going on? And it just made me feel like that I had to play perfectly in order to beat some of these bosses, which I don't really like. Like I don't like having to be able to like do it exactly. It's like, okay, like make it difficult, but I don't know. I think a lot of all these bosses had a tad bit too much health. Now, I do like the style that the game is. It's very like an anime style. Kind of reminds me of like Code Vein, or, you know, just an anime looking game. And I thought it was really cool, really fun. I actually didn't have any glitches or bugs or crashes. Now, this also might have been because, you know, I saw that it had quite a few updates as I was playing, just because I kind of suck. And so it took me a long time to beat this game. But man, guys, I think this one, if you're into like Souls-likes, or honestly, it kind of reminded me, and this may not be a good example, but it actually reminded me a lot of Devil May Cry 5, but just make it harder. And this one just reminded me, it's very fast, you know, timings and dodges and parrying, like all that is very important. And this one is just really fun. I also really enjoyed all of the different armor sets that you can in this. If you, depending on your build, like you can mix and match all these different cool armor sets, and all the armor for the most part was really cool. I love it when a game just has cool armor. Specifically didn't like. Everything I was like, okay, yeah, this looks cool. Like even some of the stuff that I didn't quite like, I was like, oh yeah, this still looks cool. Like no matter what I was dressed up as, like, or what my armor set was, like I'm still looking fresh, man. Like everything looks cool. I love the dragon armor. I love the knight armor. I love the gold armor, the priest armor. Like everything looks cool. But that is going to be it for the video, guys. I think that if you enjoy Souls-likes and that you are looking at this gameplay and it looks like something you'd want, or it looks fun, I think you should give it a try. It is difficult, so just be warned that it is a difficult game. I had a good time, and by the time I rolled the credits, I was like, dang, I kind of want to start another playthrough. Like, it was a fun game. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Khazan, the First Berserker, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think this game does a lot of things really well. I think the boss fights are fun. I think the gameplay is really fun and really satisfying, and I think it's worth your time. Now, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.